Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. And with me, as always, Brendan Jones.
Did you forget I was here, John?
Tell you what just happened, which is I do enough podcasts, some of which where the co-hosts introduce themselves, some of which where I throw to the co-host, and I got a little lost as to which one this is.
I was like,
because on Panel Up in the Action Shelf, Gorgoni and Liz, I say I'm John Campbell, they say who they are. But this is a different one. But on Green Mile, I introduced Gorgoni. So
you do too many podcasts. I do too few.
I get loopy sometimes.
I was totally willing just to let you hang. I could have chimed in. I was like, no, I'll stay here on Zoom with my little face until you realize there's another person here who watches these damn movies with you.
Your sweet little face.
Yes, hello, John, and hello, listeners. Welcome back to... Man, I'm sorry, everybody.
I always want to make this clear when we talk about these Karnstein movies. You insisted on adding these to our Hammer retrospective. You were the one who said, we got to do the Karnstein movies. And
I did.
Holy shit. All of a sudden, after this week, I fucking love Vampire Lovers. That movie's great in comparison to this dog turd.
Which is the overriding opinion of everyone who has seen this trilogy. And supposedly the next one's a little better.
Well, I mean, at least we have Cushing back in the next one.
What's hilarious is that I actually remember this one best of all from when I was a kid. And yet, just like Vampire Lovers in this one, seeing them on TV, on broadcast TV, so they were crazy edited down, obviously.
You didn't get a erotic lesbian massage?
I mean, in my personal life, yes, but as far as this
we've
film,
all experienced that in reality, obviously.
No, it was, and I'm sure. I mean, I'm seeing these when I'm like 8 or 9 or something, and I'm sure that I'm like, I don't know why this movie is doing something for me. Mm-hmm. It's vampires. But I always include these, even though they're not Dracula, simply because they are based very loosely on a literary tradition from.
Yeah, I feel like this one maybe least of all.
Carmilla, and so these are they're cousins to Dracula.
Look, I'm happy to rag on these movies, especially this one. Holy shit, we're talking about 1971's Lust for a Vampire. Of course, we haven't said that. Christ almighty, this is bad.
I have some things to say about it, not necessarily, a little bit behind the scenes, but it's also one of my briefest because Lord knows no one wants to talk about this movie. In the books I read, Wikipedia, people are just like, if you're being a completist, here's this one, and then they get the fuck away from it.
I mean, and also bums me out, this is our boy Sangster at the helm of this thing.
But don't feel too bad. I mean, you can certainly feel bad for him, but at the same time, I don't think the blame necessarily rests with him.
Well, I see here in the trivia that Mr. Sangster disowned this movie.
Something I really want. You have the DVD. I do not.
Yes.
The DVD supposedly, maybe yours does, has a commentary track that is a Hammer film expert with Susanna Lee, who plays Miss Fairplay. Miss Fairplay. And with Jimmy Sangster.
Mr. Fantastic, Miss Fairplay.
Actually, that would be Mr. Terrific.
Mr. Terrific. I'm sorry, Mr. Terrific.
That's all right.
My head was just a wheel going, Mr. Miracle, Mr. Fantastic.
I knew where you were going.
There's too many misters around in comics, man.
Because they're comic nerds.
If you couldn't tell from our fucking Monsters podcast.
Also on the commentary is Jimmy Sangster, and he's apparently, I didn't hear it because I don't have it, but I read about it. He's very quiet for almost the entire commentary, and at the very end, the Hammer expert goes, Jimmy, is there anything else you'd like to add? Any behind the scenes stuff? And he goes, no.
I think there is a commentary track on my Blu-ray. I didn't have time to listen to it, but now I must.
He just
no, I don't.
Quietly. Anything you want to add? No. So let me kick this off. I'll read a little bit
just
here.
Him shaking his head, by the way, for the whole runtime. Like,
I'm sure it was. Oh my god!
I'm
and
so
I know there's at least a 5-minute section of it where he has to have left the room. I'm almost about. So here we go.
I have to go. Yeah.
Today's behind the scenes little info I'm going to present as kind of a quiz. It's a pop quiz for you, John.
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't prepare anything.
Perfect. That's exactly the way I like it.
Great.
John, what movie, which co-star Ralph Bates referred to as one of the worst films ever made, was supposed to star Peter Cushing and Ingrid Pitt and be directed by Terence Fisher, but ended up starring a beautiful Danish actress and a pirate radio DJ and a cultist, both of whom ended up dubbed, and directed by poor Jimmy Sangster, who inherited the project a week before shooting.
Well, I will say, Brendan.
Still
going.
I'm going to give you even more because I could see just through the camera, I could see that you couldn't quite put a name to it. So I'm going to give you a little bit more. Are you stumped, John? Well, okay. Here's a little bit more. What movie featured uncredited close-ups of Christopher Lee and a terribly incongruous pop song by a one-named teen singer whose career lasted a whole 2 years? A song which was added to the film without the director's approval and drew so much laughter during the film's premiere screening that Sangster sank down in his seat and hit his face. Well, of course, I could and should only be speaking of 1971's Lust for a Vampire.
Yes, I did actually just do a quick skim through the IMDb trivia and noticed a few of these things you've brought up.
That song, Strange Love, sung by Tracy, one name only.
Oh, I love that. And just in the credits, I love that it was by Tracy. I'm like, Tracy who?
You don't need to know any more than that.
Matter.
And was released as a B-side to her non-hit Rock Me in the Cradle, is so wonderfully dreadful that I will now recite the opening verse, whether you want me to or not.
Well, I already heard it a couple times in the movie and hated it. So,
Strange love, silently stealing through the night, so concealing, two hearts suddenly feeling strange love.
Yeah. You know, I will say I laughed more in this one than I did in Vampire Lovers.
I did. I actually kind of had the same reaction to this one that I kind of did when I was forced to watch Steel by you a few weeks ago when we were doing the worst superhero movies of all time.
Yeah.
But yes, this one is so bad. This one is so bad that there were many moments I laughed at because I was like, no, that is
the second
awful.
That song started playing, I was like, what is happening? This song is so terrible. And its use in the movie is terrible as well.
And I love the idea that Sangster, they probably did approach him and say, well, we thought about putting this in. And I love the idea of him going, no, over my dead body. And then he goes to the premiere and they put it in anyway. And he's just like, oh God.
Those sons of bitches.
However, that song is not what makes this movie terrible. It's just one of many, many, many things. So Jimmy was, it doesn't matter if the song was in or out. This was going to be a bad movie anyway. Yeah. And why I say we can feel bad for him, he took the job, but I don't lay this at his feet. The script was done. The casting was done. Locations, costumes, it was all set.
Had to kind of sail and steer the ship.
Just had to direct it. So he had to go in with a terrible script by Tudor Gates, who's the screenwriter. But man, let's try to get in and out of
Terence Fisher would have done much better with this material.
No. If it was the same script and cast,
shit, Tudor,
he would not.
I've just looked up Tudor Gates.
Yeah,
writer of the cinematic classic Barbarella. A movie I've seen,
which actually I enjoy. It's over the top crazy.
Oh well, hold on. I see here he's credited as in collaboration with. There are several other people. I believe there are 7 credited screenwriters on Barbarella. So,
yeah, he's just one of many. But he did write the entire Karnstein trilogy. So he wrote, Vampire Lovers, and he will write Twins of Evil. So we've got one more Tudor Gates.
How I look forward to that.
I know you do.
It's amazing how many movies he wrote that had the word sex in the title.
I guess that was his go-to.
He wrote Danger Diabolique. I love Danger Diabolique.
Yeah, I think that's how he got the Barbarella gig.
That makes sense.
Like, hey, he's adapted a European comic as a movie, so let's do this.
Man, Danger Diabolique is such a
it's crazy.
It's a hidden gem of a very weird comic book movie that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else before we get to the poster?
No. Okay. Let's get into it.
Let's talk about this poster, which is...
Hey, John, before we get started, can we agree today to talk at least 3 hours about this movie?
Oh, I was thinking we'd go 4 easy.
I'm hoping we get out of here in about 90 minutes because, good Lord, this movie is garbage.
I'll tell you, it helps that almost nothing happens in this movie. So I kept waiting for this movie to start.
I know there's no plot to this thing.
There is not 3 acts this movie. There are instead 3 first acts put end to end.
There is more plot in like a porn parody of some. I mean, and this movie has been accused of being essentially softcore porn, but there is more plot in whatever. Like
it's too boring to be softcore porn, honestly. Though it's really. There's not actually as much sleaziness as I was thinking there'd be.
It takes a lot to say that there are films that completely, over the top nudity can't save. I mean, it's amazing how unsexy and how
it's not erotic at all.
No, this one jumped up the skin factor by at least 3, and it is so dumb and boring. And when someone takes their top off, you go,
yeah.
And
that's no comment on the looks of these ladies. They're all very attractive.
No, it is chock full of beautiful character actresses of that period. And
I will say this one, I also had trouble keeping track of who a lot of people were because there's so many just random girls running around in this film.
You really only have to keep track of Mircalla, Miss Fairplay, and whatever the character's name, the actual lesbian girl from the very beginning who ends up in the well. Yeah. Susan, yes.
I figured that out eventually, but for the first chunk of it, I was like, how many girls am I supposed to
Because there are like 18 actresses.
I'm like, am I supposed to know who all of these people are? No. We got to talk about this poster, which is definitely very sexy.
It's basically making use of one of the famous sort of stills from it, and they've done a painted version.
We have a nude Mircalla taking off the vest of Mr. Lestrange, who is our male lead in the film, and she's got blood dripping from her mouth down her neck onto her chest.
Oh God!
Oh baby, we going to this one for sure.
I'd say the art in this one is still nephew art, but it's a slightly more talented nephew.
I think the Lestrange and Mircalla look pretty good. The vampire guy, the face on the vampire guy is awful. It's so bad.
It's JoJo the dog-faced boy. Yeah,
it really is.
It's not good.
We'll talk about that character too.
We will, and I have things to say about that actor. But,
oh boy! If you didn't think Ralph Bates could be out overacted, you haven't seen Lust for a Vampire, my friend.
Ooh,
because this guy wipes the floor with Bates in the overacting.
And that's
department.
not even his voice in this movie.
Heart attack.
A heart attack.
His catchphrase.
I can only say that Mike Raven was the name of this gentleman.
Yeah.
Do yourself, and this is you, John, and all our listeners, do yourself a favor, look up his Wikipedia entry.
Oh.
What a weird gentleman. What an interesting life.
Yes.
And scene.
And how did he die? A heart attack. No.
Heart attack.
And then finally we have Mircalla drinking the blood of a character who's not in the. I don't know. There's not a dark-haired woman that she attacks.
No, there is. There is.
Is there? Where is that?
Yeah. It's she doesn't even have a character. The character
is
doesn't
that
even
just the woman that she's drinking from when he's pounding on the door? Oh, I guess I did.
Like, I know you're in there, and she's going, "Oh, Mircalla, keep going. That's crazy." Like she's really getting off on getting her.
You don't even really see that woman.
No, you don't. But they're like, I don't know, it's her with a naked chick. Let's put that in there.
And then they've stopped the half, like the half poster with the title, right. And now it's just a box in like a quarter of the poster that says "Lust for a Vampire."
Yeah, that looks kind of pasted on simply because the text is not incorporated into the image, but whatever.
Yeah.
You have to go, John, you need to go one over on IMDb to see.
Let me see here.
I believe it's the U.S. poster.
Well, this has to be a European poster because they would never let this fly.
Oh, yeah. No, but the next one is the U.S. poster.
Let me see here. Let me see what we got here. Oh, is this the one with the flame on it?
No, this is the one that has it has taglines.
Is that not the one where they're in a big flame?
No.
Okay. Well, because that has my favorite character, which is Vampire Coachman.
Vampire Coachman's pretty great.
Let me see here. Let me see if I can get it. Oh, it's the black and white one.
Yeah, well, that... Yes,
it looks like it's a newsprint. Yeah.
Yes.
Devils in female bodies.
Oh, that's great.
Whose embrace is the kiss of death for man or woman.
And that brings up an interesting point right there. Also, again, I think the same artist doing more bad work, or at least something similar.
We also
you get a lot of Mircalla in there.
You also have just Ralph Bates full on having an orgasm.
Yeah. Oh God, that's good. The thing with
he's even overacting on the poster.
We've been calling this the lesbian vampire trilogy, but really, as I found out in my reading, the censor board came down hard on Hammer after Vampire Lovers and said, yeah, if you're going to keep using these characters, you have to tone the lesbianism down.
I think
this is why
kind of did in this movie.
They did. In this movie, Mircalla, who traditionally in the novel, Carmilla, and of course the first movie, she's the predator who's only interested in women.
Yeah.
She'll seduce a guy, but just to get him out of the way. In this movie, she is seduced by one of the other girls,
yes,
and she goes along with it because it's a meal ticket. But she really falls in love with a guy in this movie.
I guess,
and
yeah.
She uses another woman as just a feed bag again, but she herself is not like falling in love with any of the women in the movie.
No.
And I think the same happens in Twins of Evil. So
also,
I think they're like,
I have no idea what Carmilla is doing in this movie. No idea what she wants, what her goals are here. No clue.
How the mythology of the Karnsteins works. This whole every 40 years nonsense.
I have huge questions. I didn't understand much of this movie.
Why are the Karnsteins just sending her out? And are they feeding? How are they feeding? They just seem to watch Carmilla do what she does.
Oh, you go out there and enjoy yourself, sweetie.
Oh my God, we need to just
but we can't not mention the alliterative tagline here.
It's good.
Ghoulish, ghastly, gory. Lust for a vampire.
Gerotic.
I could keep coming up with these all day. I just want to see if there's any other taglines we missed from other
gigantic goobs.
Devils and female bodies. Oh, there's one other one that must be on. I don't know if it's some other poster, maybe from another country. A vampire's lust knows no boundaries.
Oh, boundaries! The way they did that. That's clever.
Yeah.
Because she's bi, she'll do whatever.
Yeah, except she's not even bi in this. She's just like
she really is just straight.
I guess for the necessities of this, I'll.
All right.
She never has sex with any of the women though. It's all just sort of like temptate, and then when it's about to go down, that's when she bites them.
Yeah.
All right, let's dig into this piece of shit.
I'm sorry, John.
I think this truly might be the worst one we've watched, just in terms of the fact that I can't stress how it's a vampire movie where essentially nothing happens. I mean, it has no climax. It has nothing to offer.
Now, we are, it's so funny you said that, because in that book on Hammer that I use for reference, they actually say, at the end of their description, they go, this was a Hammer film that had absolutely nothing to recommend it.
No.
They actually say that. It's like, there's no reason to watch this. I did laugh, but we'll talk about at the end whether we think this is worth watching or not. But really, no plot, bad cast. Unless you're just
truly some of the worst acting we've seen in this.
Yeah. I mean, and again, the female actresses are very beautiful. So if you were just after seeing topless women, and there are plenty of things you could do that aren't Lust for a Vampire.
Yeah, I mean, women technically take their tops off in the movie, but even the way it's shot isn't like erotic in any way. It's just sort of like, yep. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very matter of fact.
Yeah.
It drew no reaction from me. I was just like,
yeah,
oh, yeah, all right, I guess. Yeah, I suppose.
I think even our friend who has been wandering the planet watching Hammer films.
Yeah.
I have a feeling
you don't got the new Hammer yet.
Could you just could you play the 8-minute version?
Yeah,
that's just all the good parts.
Normally, there's some kind of story to keep me interested between the boobs, but
can you trim around Ralph Bates?
Yeah. Is there any way to just cut him out of the film?
Is there a Batesless version?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roll the Bateless cut.
Ingrid Pitt turned it down. They were going to have her come back as Mircalla, and she said no.
I mean,
and Peter Cushing was ill.
Oh no! His wife was ill, according to the IMDb trivia. His ailing wife, and we know that man put nothing above his wife.
Absolutely true. And Terrence Fisher was ill, so this was
damn if he wasn't just the greatest man.
Just had to replace everybody and throw.
And this is totally the B-level Hammer movie.
Oh God!
Everything about this screams this is second tier.
At least we're not watching Creatures That Time Forgot. Is that it?
Which God,
was the same year, and that's.
I know that one.
Okay. All right.
So we open with we have this blonde woman. Who is this? No one. Because it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, it really doesn't. But she's just like a barmaid person.
And she's happily strolling through town with this basket, and there's a fellow who goes, "Will I see you later tonight?" And she's like, "Maybe." He's like, "Ha ha, very good." And he's just sort of establishing this sort of idyllic town.
Yes, very good.
And she's skipping her way through the town out into this field when a mysterious coach waits for her.
Yeah.
And she seems to be like, "Oh, good."
Well, she's curious, and she just and it does stop, so she just looks in. She's like, "Yes, is this?" And the door opens, and she's like, "Oh, how delightful!" As if she.
Yeah. Then we get our first of 3 POV vampire attacks.
Yeah, I don't like this. This is Sangster's big choice, and he makes it several times. But
look,
the whole idea of each one of these.
I wasn't thinking. I was too busy typing up my spec script for the courtship of Eddie's father.
God damn it. I was pitching a reboot of My Favorite Martian. I can't get enough of that Bixby fellow.
I leaned harder into the horrors of the Martian. I described him as a disgusting creature.
I still wanted Ray Walston to play him, but I saw him as sort of an amorphic being with eyes in places you didn't expect.
Yes, there was humor, but there was also horror.
I saw this as the new Quatermass. So all of these start with the woman being or the victim being like, "Oh, this is wonderful," then like, "Oh, I'm being seduced and hypnotized," and then going, "No, it's horrible." That's just all 3 beats of these clothes.
Yeah, she starts screaming. The coach takes off. Boom, we go to opening titles. Lust for a Vampire.
Yeah.
And then it's just like,
Tell
great.
me your blood wasn't surging, your heart pounding in your chest.
I will say there were multiple times that I tuned out in this movie, so I think I got everything, but there were several times when I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, what? Was I watching this film?" It is so painfully boring.
This will be our shortest podcast. If we just stick to what happens in this movie, we're in and out.
And this is where I did note, oh no, there's a song in this? That can't be good.
Oof.
And
I like I said, I remembered this one from a kid, and I did remember I remembered the song.
Oh wow.
When it came up, I was not surprised. I was like, "Yep." Yeah, here it is.
So we then have this woman who's dead, with the bites in her neck, being brought into Castle Karnstein and just dropped in front of these vampires.
Yep.
Well, I guess she's not dead. She must be unconscious because all these hooded figures are around her, and we have our lead vampire. Still don't really know much about this guy. We had the laughing guy in the first movie, and I didn't understand him. Still don't really understand him in this movie. He's in it a bit more, but he still doesn't make any sense to me.
In the first movie, they referred to him in the credits as the Man in Black, but I probably yes, probably due to my or Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Probably due to my knowledge of this series, I think even in the last one I said, no, that's Baron Karnstein.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, they call him Baron Karnstein in the credits.
I get that. I get that he's Baron Karnstein. Still don't know anything about him.
Right. He's the patriarch of the Karnstein vampire family.
He seems like he's up to no good.
Yeah. So the person that was in the coach with the dead girl is a mysterious cloaked woman who, at least for a few minutes, I was like going, oh, is that Carmilla? No. Yeah. Because what it is the woman who's in the hood is, because you remember from the previous movie, Carmilla is almost always brought places by an aunt, someone who's like a respectable royal.
In this movie, she's a countess.
Yeah, a countess, and she usually drops off Carmilla to do some vampiring and whatever.
Have fun vampiring.
Be sure to write. So here it is, like a black magic ceremony of creepy Baron Karnstein who looks like Dracula with a goatee.
Oh my god! He's rocking that widow's peak hard, man.
Yes, very hard. This is Mike Raven, pirate radio DJ and occultist, and sculptor and flamenco guitar player, and
part-time vampire
and sculptor of erotic art that got him in trouble with the church. Anyway,
it's why I was drawn to the vampire Karnstein films.
Actually, yes, he was like, I'm into the occult hardcore, can I be in a Hammer film? And they were like, yeah. And then they decided, we don't want your voice.
Oh my god. Well, because what happens is they cut this woman's throat open and collect the blood in a goblet.
Yes.
Then they roll out this shriveled corpse that's mostly bone.
Yeah.
And then, holy shit, does he go for it with this prayer to Satan.
This prayer to Satan, again, too long for a ringtone, but it is so over the top. It is so over the top. Yeah. I was laughing here.
The only thing I did write down, turn this innocent spirit into evil. Yeah. But he's going like, oh, Lord Satan.
Yep.
He's like, holy. Even the devil's like, you didn't have to yell it, you know?
Hey,
said it.
Yeah, can we dial that back just a tad?
Like, I know, Prince of Darkness, Master of Evil. Yeah, but just like, I can hear you just fine.
So he does this thing. They pour the blood from the nice blonde
on the body. It lights up. You gotta love.
This is what I love is that when they pour the blood, it's actually pretty good looking fake blood. When they first pour it,
it's better than our normal Hammer blood.
Right, but then when they cut to when the it looks like it's on a light board, like an artist lights up from beneath. Then the sheet that's over the skeleton, suddenly the blood looks like. I swear to God, it looks like someone spilled strawberry Fanta on a picnic blanket. I know.
I had to go to the fridge and grab a soda. I was so.
But basically, they're like pushing some air up under it to try to make it look like, ooh, there's a transformation happening. There's smoke and there's light, but really all it is in a couple of seconds, our lead actress is going to sit up, essentially topless, covered in blood.
Yeah.
And that is Ute Stensgaard.
Boy, oh boy.
Lovely Danish actress, also completely dubbed, and she did not know she was dubbed until she saw the film.
I don't see a lot of credits for her here, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because I don't think she's very good in this.
No, she's not. But you read her anything about her story and you go, it's a shame, simply because not because I think there was great talent there, but she's one of those that's like, I'm going to give it my best, and she's in movies for about 4 years before they're done with her, and then she had a decent life after. Don't worry, everybody. She ended up okay. She ended up working in radio. In the U.S. She became some kind of behind the scenes radio person.
Yeah, that's nice. Still with us too, still alive.
Yep. And she's beautiful. She's absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely.
But she is, as the people in that book said, she's no Ingrid Pitt.
No, although I will say, especially with this movie where it's supposed to be like a girls' school, Ingrid Pitt would have looked so goddamn old. She already looked too old for the part in the last movie. This time, I really think it would have been embarrassing.
It's true.
Dropping her off for school. She's 40, Anyway.
I love the whole girls' school angle of this because I'm sitting there going, oh, God, that is just so gross. And that is just...
I know. The second it was a girls' school, I'm like, all right, the sleaze factor has increased greatly.
Was this the original title, like Lesbian Vampire in a Girls' Dormitory? Because
we're almost basically doing Satan's School for Girls, right?
We are, in a way.
That's what I kept
Anywho, so yes, this is our lead actress. She has risen. This is Carmilla.
Yeah.
And Carmilla has been resurrected.
But we quickly cut into town where we meet our hero, Mr. Lestrange.
Yeah, and he's a cad horror novelist, essentially.
Right away, I just said the first thing we see is he is harassing this barmaid like nobody's business.
Yep.
Yeah. Michael Johnson is this actor, and I was not impressed.
God's gift. He's God's gift to women. And
he's not impressed with this guy at all.
No. But he is a novelist, and he overhears
he's
the
a novelist of the supernatural.
Mm-hmm. He hears the locals saying, hey, you're a visitor here.
Well, the barkeeper comes out and says, hey, I see what you're doing with that barmaid. But he's like, most of the time, I'd be fine with it, all right?
Yeah.
But right now, there's no girl in this town who's going to go anywhere with a stranger. And he's like, oh, really? Why is that? Then we get the drop line. One of the few times they confirm a time. It's 1830.
It's 1830,
yeah. Which then presumably puts the previous movie in 1790?
Yeah.
Because it's been 40 years since last seen It's been 40 years since they last seen the Karnsteins. They say it was 40 years before that they'd seen them in 40. So it seems like these vampires are coming out every 40 years, though I don't know what that has to do with anything.
No. What I don't understand is, they don't bother to explain any of this mythology. The locals are aware that there's this 40-year cycle where the evil Karnstein family will rise again. They're vampires. We don't know why they're hibernating for 40 years. That doesn't make any sense. But they rise again, and then they terrorize the village.
But for how long? Are they there? Is it the whole year they have to wait for? Then when it's the 41st year, they're good?
Fucking knows. And also, here's my question. Mm-hmm. Everyone in town is aware of this. Mm-hmm. Only this year do they get so upset they go to the castle to do something about it. I'm like, I'm sorry, 40 years before, did they not want to do anything? And 40 years before that, did they not think about...
Well, say this, maybe in the 39th year, why don't you go fuck up that castle, before it happened? Why don't you fuck up the castle any time? Yeah, you had 40 years to do something about this.
You know how to take care of vampires, or at least, everyone in this village does. There's no disbelievers in this story except for our novelist friend, who's like, I love hearing about your quaint superstitions.
You crazy bumpkins.
You bumpkins. I write about shit like that. Yeah. And they're like,
tell me more. I need another novel. Yeah, this guy is 1830 Stephen King.
Stephen King, and he's except for sexy or horny, and not sexy. He's horny Stephen King, but he
famously asexual real life Stephen King, of course.
And they go, well, if you're really interested, Karnstein Castle's up there, but you shouldn't go.
Because they talk about he does this whole thing about they come out every 40 years to prey on young virgins, and he goes, well, I guess I'm okay then. It's like, no, You're not actually, because
I'm okay. Because I've gotten it in and out all day long.
I love when he said this. It felt like a guy covering up his virginity, though. He's like, well, I've totally done the sex, if you know what I mean.
Me and my Canadian girlfriend have done the sex.
She's a model.
She's
so it is like, and luckily it's 1830.
Stuff.
And
if
telephones
you know what I mean.
don't exist. So, yeah, they say that, but they say, don't worry, they also go after men, too, so maybe don't be enticed by any beautiful strangers you run into. And this is when he's like, superstition, you crazy.
John, let me also, in case you had, glossed over, and I can tell you didn't because you did write that down.
Mm-hmm.
In case you had missed the lines about, well, they do and sometimes go after men, and you watch out for any enticing women, you'll hear it echoing about 85 times in just a few minutes.
Yep.
You'll hear the barkeeper's
for those who
words
missed it,
echoing.
For those who came in late.
Those who came in late.
Yeah, there you go. Don't be. And he says, even right now, there's a village girl who just went missing. So we're all pretty worried about that. So shut up about your superstitions. She was obviously taken by vampires.
Yep. And again, he's like, well, yeah.
And he's like, point me in the direction of this vampire castle. And so, yeah.
Do they sell T-shirts?
Yeah. I went to the Karnstein castle and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. So he just goes and he just busts on into the Karnstein castle.
Yeah. He don't waste too much time. He just goes there and he's like, all right,
he's hearing all this shit, and he's like, they drink blood, and what's this? He finds blood. Yep. Which only, of course, made me think of Garth Marenghi. Blood, and bits of sick.
And bits of sick.
Yeah. This actually plays out like what I imagine a Garth Marenghi novel to be like.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It has that kind of very solid literary, kind of feel to it.
Yeah, the thing that thinks it's better than it is, but is also just totally sleazy.
Yes.
Yeah, this is written by Garth Marenghi. So it would have been better with Matt Berry and Richard Ayoade in this movie, though.
Oh my God! Can you imagine?
I
that?
can't. I wish so much.
You're going to go down there, Rick. Yeah. You're going to take care of those Karnstein.
Right. You're gonna look up the Karnsteins, all right? Sounds bang up my alley. I'm in love with you, Marcilla.
Love me.
Love me. Yes, that would be such a better movie. Blood. I love the fact that
we get another Love Me.
Yeah.
That's like now in all these sort of gothic, sexy vampire movies.
Love
people
me.
Go, love me.
Yeah. So he goes to the castle. Then the woman in a cloak appears. He's like, ah.
Yep.
Then another one, and another one, and another one. And you're thinking, oh shit, vampires, obviously.
He is being just ganged up on by mysterious robed women who are giggling and approaching him. And again, we've all been there. But
yes. And yes, they're then immediately, it's just normal women, of course, because they're called off by my favorite actor in the world, Ralph Bates. God damn it, we can't get away from this guy, and I hate him so much.
He really was their go-to guy during this period when they're thinking about.
They put all their chips on the exact wrong actor.
Yeah, they're like, we're not going to have Chris Lee and Peter around forever. Ralph is our dude.
He gets first billing in this movie, and he dies halfway through it.
Yeah.
Because I kept going, I don't know. It really seems like this other guy is the main guy. And then when he dies, I'm like, yeah, that other guy is the main guy.
Ralph Bates was the name, though. That's what put them in the seats. They saw Ralph Bates was in it.
Oh, I can only imagine myself being like, oh, new Hammer pitch. Oh, Ralph Bates. I'm going to skip this one. He's already ruined. He's already ruined the Frankenstein franchise. I don't think God, and he was horrible in that. I mean, honestly, Taste the Blood of Dracula is where he did the least amount of damage because he was terrible, but at least he was dead like 20 minutes in.
Yes.
Here, we have to put up with like 50 minutes of him.
Can you imagine if Christopher Lee had just actually just stuck to his guns and said, "I'm not coming to do that movie"?
And he was Dracula?
And Ralph Bates was the replacement, which was supposed to be the deal.
That movie would have been unwatchable.
It might have also been genius.
Because that Frankenstein movie he did was so bad.
Yeah.
And it's not a good script, but he makes it 10 times worse.
He does.
And he's horrible in this. Oh my God, his little haircut in this movie, though.
Well, this is the part that was supposed to be Peter Cushing.
Which I can't imagine.
I can't, especially with the weird romantic sexual element to it.
Could you imagine him begging a woman in a movie? Like, just, oh my God.
No.
I mean, at least this fits Ralph Bates. He's a Weasley little guy.
It actually does seem like good casting for him.
This is maybe the best use of Ralph Bates, I will say.
It's just he's terrible, and the character's terrible, and
this is Giles is who he plays in this.
Yeah.
Yes, he's brought the girls from the finishing school, which is basically just down the hill from the Karnstein castle.
Yes.
I brought them here on a field trip.
Yes, so it was the big fake out. They aren't vampire brides. Mm-mm. They are innocent schoolgirls on a field trip to the vampire castle.
And so he goes, "Please come along." He's the history teacher at the finishing school, and he goes, "Please come along. Check out the school for girls."
Yes, he also does recognize. What's his name? Lestrange.
Yeah,
he does recognize his name. Like, the author,
which is to be fair, a great name for a horror author, Lestrange.
Yeah, absolutely.
He changed it to that clearly, and so. Yeah, he brings him down to the finishing school.
My real name is Reginald Twinings. I decided to go with Lestrange when I started writing about ghosts and ghouls and vampires.
Richard Lestrange is his name.
Right.
They call me Dick Lestrange.
Dick Lestrange.
Mm-hmm.
That was your 70s porn name.
It was Dick Lestrange, yeah.
Yeah, you also
little known fact, I tried to have those that film destroyed, but anyway, Lestrange goes to the finishing school, where right off the bat, this place is as weird as can be because we get this weird choreographed dance exercise.
Holy mackerel! Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Here it is, guys. It's a bevy of beauties, as they always say.
I mean, this might as well be a scene out of a Bond picture.
Yes, it's like 15 or 20 lovely young actresses.
I much would have rather had Sean Connery show up at this finishing school.
Yes, or at least have Robert Shaw getting a massage.
Yes, Red Grant, man, one of my favorite Bond villains.
Absolutely, one of the best scenes ever. That train fight. But you've got these women who, even in a girls' school, I doubt would be dressed this provocatively. They're in wafer thin, like summer gowns with obviously no underwear, and they're doing these are exercises in the Greco-Roman style. So they're doing we're doing our poses like they do on the urns. We're doing our Grecian urn poses. So it's just an excuse for them to dance across the lawn of the school in flimsy nothing and have creepy Ralph Bates and horn dog Lestrange standing there watching them going, "Oh, this is pretty good." They basically become...
It's also a stripper school.
They basically become our favorite Hammer fan. Just so they're going, do the other one, do the next dance.
Very nice. They have great form.
I can't believe it. You guys look like a bunch of lawn ornaments.
I mean, Lestrange has a fucking hard on this whole movie, basically.
Yeah.
He's just looking to get down.
Really funny to me how in this opening scene, the one that draws his eye is our friend Miss Playfair.
Yes.
And she is lovely blonde, played by Susanna Lee.
Yeah.
And so
she's adorable. But
she's adorable. But she's the one, and she's looking at him like, "Oh, who's the fresh meat?" Mm-hmm. And he's looking at her like, "I want to stay here my whole life."
My God! So later in the movie when she says, "Because I love you," and I'm like, "What?
I know. So they've instantly set this up. Within 2 minutes, he will see Carmilla and forget fair play ever existed.
Out the picture, my friend. Out the picture.
Hilarious that they even bothered to set this up because it was immediately going to be overturned. But anyway, so yeah, you got the Ralph Bates. What's his name again?
Giles.
Giles, right?
Yeah.
You have him explaining, yes, it's a girls' school. These are from all over the world. We have Americans here and whatever, Irish ladies, and they're being taught classical stuff. And I'm the history teacher. And he goes, well, do they need an English teacher? Lestrange is immediately going, can I work here and live here my whole life?
I just love the idea of, I'm going to come here and be a teacher and fuck all the students.
It's the subtext.
And that'll be cool.
Yeah.
That won't get me fired instantly. I'm not I mean, this guy's just a creep. Just an absolute creep.
Immediately. He's immediately a creep.
We're introduced to him sexually harassing a waitress. Now he's like, I'm going to fuck all these teen girls.
It is essentially your hero, ladies and gentlemen.
Just a horny creep.
Just a horny creep. Yeah. Which was the original title of Just a Gigolo, the song. But
just a horny creep.
Just a horny creep, and everywhere I peep, people know the part I'm playing. So he's unlikable. Ralph Bates is unlikable, and these are our central characters.
There's not a single likable character in this movie.
Nope. So
I mean, I think Janet Fairplay is about as much of a hero as we have.
Yeah, she's very sweet. She has very little screen
and she's
time.
The one who's like, we should call the cops because people are dying. Everybody's like, no.
Right. She's the actual moral center of this.
We're next introduced to the headmistress of the school.
Yep.
Miss Simpson, played by Helen Christie, who says, I'm familiar with your work, Mr. Lestrange. You are welcome, but not those creepy books.
Yeah, she's like, you can come here anytime, but don't bring your books. They're far too creepy.
Yeah, and this is where she says they have an English teacher. He's on his way and hasn't arrived yet, but he'll be here momentarily or whatever, But also, you're lucky because you've shown up on the day that the Countess is bringing her niece, and you'll surely want to see this.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, they pull in the Countess and her niece, Mircalla, and he instantly is like, hello!
Gobbity goo.
Yeah.
Giggity
goo. He just turns into Quagmire right away.
Another behind the scenes thing was Jimmy Sangster had no time for Jutta Stensgaard, which he later said he felt bad about. She was an insecure young actress, but he said the first shot that they did was her arrival.
Okay.
And he goes, it was a long distance shot. Like they did it from a distance with the coach pulling up. And she was like, how do you want me to step out of the coach? And he's like, I don't fucking care because you're 8 miles away. You could come out cross-eyed. It doesn't matter what your motivation is. It doesn't matter what look is on your face because no one's going to see it. I'm so far back. And he's like, and you wasted so much time walking over here to ask me how you should. Yeah. So off to a good start.
I just love the idea where he's like, darling, have you read the script? Nobody gives a shit about anything in this movie.
Gives a shit.
Like, how much direction do you think he was ever giving anyone in this film? He's just like, look, we just have to get this shot and finish the day, all right?
Yeah. We're losing the sun.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
Then I can get back to writing my Marcus Welby spec script.
Jesus. I'm so sorry that the Donna Reed show went off the air because I had a few zingers. I thought that would have sold instantly.
So he's instantly taken with her. And
she is, as I've said, all the actresses in this, of course. Maybe not Miss Simpson, but she's a handsome woman of a.
I mean, to be fair, I looked her up, her IMDb, Helen Christie, and in the past, yes, quite a looker.
Yeah, and the woman who plays the Countess got very high billing in this, so she had a long career before she did this. Even though she has jack all to do in this movie.
Barbara Jefford.
Yes,
Yeah.
she got very high up in the credits. So she was established.
Man. She just died last year.
Holy
She was
hell.
90. I mean, her last acting job was in that Judi Dench, Steve Coogan movie, Philomena.
Out.
Yeah, good movie.
No, I'm serious. Leave your home.
Done. All right.
Feed your cat and go.
Yeah.
But
I'm just gonna turn him loose in the building. He can be a scavenger for the,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So Mirkala shows up, and she's gorgeous, and it's like, it's a pleasure to meet you all. I'm sure I will have a wonderful time here at this school. And they're like, great, come on in.
Yeah.
Here's your roommate, Susan.
Yeah.
She's not gay or anything.
And then
she totally
almost
gay.
immediately, it's that night, and everybody tops off everybody, because it's just topless ladies having casual conversations in their dorms, because that's what women do. They get together and they take their boobs out. They're not even, it's not even like they're changing necessarily. They all just sort of have their dresses pulled down.
Yeah. Hashtag take your boobs out. Hashtag Hammer Reborn.
Yeah.
Hammers.
I do have a t-shirt idea for this. It's not that, but I'll get to my t-shirt idea.
Their newest films are solid, but they are missing out on what makes a Hammer film great. Take your boobs out. So this is
all right, it's just saying, going, all right, ladies, tits out, everyone.
It's almost like you're watching mid 80s Showtime or Cinemax. This is like any boarding school or whatever.
I was just like, what a fucking porny setup.
Sorority movie.
And
where
he's
it's like,
the new teacher at the all-girls school.
It's like, hey, could you brush my hair? Yeah, I'm topless. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're all girls.
Yeah.
You know, titter.
I was waiting for them to start comparing breasts at a certain point. Yeah.
I was expecting a pillow fight to break out.
Pillow fight, yeah. We don't have a shower scene. That would be something.
18 to 30, not so sure on the shower situation.
Well, we do get a skinny dipping scene, so I guess they make up for that. But yes, eventually we get Mirkala being like, "Oh, my muscles are so tight," and Susan's like, Susan, who already has her boobs out, is like, "Why don't I give you a massage?" And then proceeds to massage her and then pull her dress down to expose Mirkala's breasts as well. And I'm just going,
leans in to kiss her neck. So
yeah, I'm just like, my God, we're right into sleaze. And we talked about that, how the vampire lovers really kind of skirted the edge and only dipped over a little bit into sleaze. This time we fully tipped over and drowned in sleaze.
Yeah, this is the actress Pippa Steele.
Yes, who we've seen in something else. That name sounds familiar.
Well, she was in Vampire Lovers. She was Laura.
Yes.
The first girl that gets bitten. And then Madeline Smith was...
because I remember that name, Pippa Steele. It's very British to begin with.
She made 2 of these. She didn't show up for Twins of Evil.
No, she must have missed out.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, I see. Let's see. She did she
knew better than compete with some twins.
No, she did a guest appearance on Z Cars. So
of course.
To be fair, Joe, I'm just now hearing about Z Cars, although it sounds very much like something I would enjoy. A gritty drama which follows the work of the police force in the fictional town of Newtown in North England. I am not joking. I will look up that show later. Because I just love old cop shows.
I hope you enjoy Z-Town. I will not... Z-Cars. I will not be watching that.
She's also in Public Eye and ONMD.
But, it's nice that she had a career.
Yeah.
Considering, what she did for Hammer.
Okay, I just have to say this one side note, which is I just clicked on ONMD, and these synopses are often just written by users. I've never seen this before, and I love it so much. So you go to the plot synopsis for the show.
Oh, I see it.
And it says, as far as I remember.
You know what? I bet it's because it's one of those BBC shows that has been wiped.
Yeah. As far as I remember, Dr. Owen, played by Nigel Stock, ran a country GP surgery. I also think the external scenes were filmed in
Kendal,
Gloucestershire. Yeah.
Good luck finding Z-Cars, because it might be a similar thing of like they needed the tape, so you may not find.
I hope not. I know. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm pulling for you.
The headmistress walks in just as the neck is being kissed here, and it's
But you
kind
know
of
what?
like, whoo,
It's just sort of like,
girls
you
shall be girls.
girls will be girls.
Yes.
And almost immediately, Susan does tell Mirkala about there's a lake nearby for skinny dipping, I think.
Yeah. And meet me there at midnight, specifically. She makes
Yeah,
a point of that. Brendan, I have good news for you. There are several full episodes of Z-Cars on YouTube. So
that is the best news I've gotten all day.
Because there are, by the way, how many episodes do they make of Z-Cars? 801 episodes.
No.
That's what it says here. That's what it claims.
The are insane.
They just kept this thing going forever.
Bonanza? No, Bonanza had like 1,000 or something.
Yeah, they just kept going. They made 12 seasons of Z-Cars, and this was back in the day when you made a ton of episodes back then.
Wow. All right,
Yeah.
you got your work cut out for you.
Yes, I will start my binge of Z-Cars right after I finish my rewatch of the Sweeney.
That'll be your next podcast.
Yeah, Z-Cars. I don't know that all of it exists. I think you're right, and that there's so much of it that a lot of it was lost.
That will be a niche. I don't think you'll be fighting too many other podcasts for like. It's like, no, I am the only guy covering Z-Cars.
If you ever get access to those BritBox or Acorn services, and you go, who's watching these old shows? It's me. Who's watching this random police procedural from the mid-'70s? It's me.
Hey, I did sign up for BritBox and did watch the Poirot series. So
yeah. I devour BritBox. I'm such a Anglophile when it comes to television. So
you're going to see every episode of EastEnders, which that one's about 5,000 episodes. So good luck.
Yeah, I started that 10 years ago, and I'm only halfway through. So yes, they have the undressed dorm conversation. Then we cut to Lestrange back at the pub going, they thought it was vampires in that castle. It was just a bunch of girls in cloaks.
This is what confuses me, because he's telling this to the people at the pub that were the same people warning him.
Yeah.
And now they're all very amused by this.
Yeah, they're like, ha, 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 ha. Yes, even though we completely believe in vampires.
I guess we were superstitious idiots. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, he's really proven us wrong.
Yep.
Anyway, but meanwhile, there's a barmaid that goes out back, and we go to another POV vampire kill of her.
Yeah, this is what's hilarious, is this is literally happening like 2 minutes after this guy has been telling the story.
Vampires aren't real. They're definitely not real. Then they hear a scream outside and find a woman with bite marks on her neck.
No, I know. Oh, it's so great. And
so then we cut back and we get some midnight skinny dipping, although once again it's about 4 p.m. when they shot this.
Wait, I totally bought it as being midnight. Are you saying you didn't?
Yeah, it's a sunlit sky. It's maybe late afternoon into evening. It maybe is kind of dusk, but it's yeah. And yes, we get the women taking their clothes off and diving on into the water here and frolicking about.
You think I didn't pause this? You think I didn't slow motion this?
Gotta go frame by frame.
All I'm saying is I have a new lock screen on my phone.
Hello. That's what he says. He opens the phone. He goes, "Hello, beautiful."
But again, this is not even erotic or exciting, and it's not well shot. Sorry, Jimmy Sangster. No. So yeah, they dive in and they're all giggly, and
we
then
cut to Baron Karnstein just going like,
What you've neglected to say is we've cut to Baron Karnstein at a completely different time of night.
Yeah, and I love he's just there going like, "Ho, evil's about."
They do this 5 times in the movie.
They do. I stopped writing it down at a certain point because it's just like he's just like, something bad is happening.
Whenever she attacks, they cut to him somewhere in the woods or on a hill going, yes. It's so terrible.
So anyway, this Susan woman is murdered.
Yeah, I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, she's dead, and oh yes, then Lestrange is in the pub, and there's this guy who says, "Oh, you're Mr. Lestrange. I've read all your books."
Yep.
In fact, I'm a bit of a writer myself.
He in the pub.
And Lestrange is just like, oh god.
This guy looks the way I always imagined Ichabod Crane would look.
Yeah, very much so.
And they go,
You didn't picture
hey,
Johnny Depp?
No, I never did. That's one of my main problems with that movie. One of my main problems with that movie. Ichabod Crane should not be a very pretty man. Anyway,
I love that movie though. I gotta say,
I like the visuals and the weird post-modern take on Sleepy Hollow. I just didn't like the casting of that. Anyway,
we'll talk
there
about
I
it
go.
someday.
Yep, there I am with my nitpickiness.
Yeah.
But
I think Depp's really good in that.
He's always good.
Yeah,
he's just the
up to a certain
Vic.
point. In the last 5 years, I think he's been phoning it in. Maybe
he's been brilliant. He's never.
He only got good in the fourth Pirates movie.
I just think The Tourist is one of the best.
Oh God, I sat through that piece of shit.
Anywho, speaking of tourists,
they got me in the theater on that one. I don't know how.
The barman said, no, I saw that one later.
It's bad.
Anyway, the barman says, "Hey, you're a Brit. There's another visiting British guy over there at the table." And our novelist guy, Lestrange, is like, "Don't let on that I'm here."
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about, but the guy is like, "I say," and
he's very foppish.
He's incredibly foppish, and when they shake hands, he's doing the literally limp-wristed thing.
Yeah,
is the way he shakes his hand. I'm like going,
yes, the day is long.
Is this coded? But he's like, yes, I'm a huge fan of your work, and I am.
You might as well be dancing about going la-da-dee, la-da-da.
And Lestrange goes, "Oh, you're a writer?" He goes, "Yes, but mainly I'm a teacher of English." And this is when Lestrange does get interested. He goes, "Oh, are you here?" He's like, "Yes, I'm going to be teaching at a girls' school." And
they
now
said I'd be perfect. Something about the word non-threatening.
Yes, and he is. Completely.
Yeah, I mean, he's just the most aggressively gay character I've seen in anything.
Yeah. It's the Broadway director and the producers is Butch compared to this.
I was waiting for ooh, I'm so bad.
And smacks his chest.
Yeah.
But no, this guy is the one that will be the English teacher at the school.
Yes.
So now Lestrange is like, if I get this guy out of the way, I can be the English teacher at the school. Mm-hmm. And then all those ladies will fall.
His big plan is he goes, maybe you and I should collaborate on something.
It's a weak plan.
And apparently he sends him off somewhere to research material?
Yeah, he says, he goes, "Oh, a collaboration. That would be wonderful." He goes, "Yes, the only problem is for the story I have in mind, I need some extensive research in Vienna." Mm-hmm. And this guy goes, "Really?" He goes, "Yes, would you mind going and doing that?" So it's this weird thing that you met this guy 3 minutes ago, and he has now told you to go to Vienna to do some vague research for a book you'll write together.
Yeah. And he's just like, right away, I'm on the next train.
Exactly. So he goes off to Vienna, leaving that position open at the girls' school.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried this before. This does not work. This would.
I'm glad you can speak from personal experience that this just it doesn't work. I'm sorry. It no.
No.
So yeah, then he just cuts to, I don't know. The guy took off, I guess. But anyway, I guess since I'm here, I could be your English teacher. And Miss Simpson's just like, well, I guess if we have to, we have to. And then he's instantly all over Mircalla.
Yep.
Right away.
He's basically saying, like, I can't get you out of my head. I think about you all the time.
Yeah.
You're the hottest thing I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life. Oh my God.
Well, it's just like, you probably need private tutoring.
Yep.
And then he says to Miss Simpson, he's like, I really, I think I'm going to need to live on campus. I think that's really going to be best for me. And she says, well, we do have facilities for that. And then they take him to where the teachers live. And he goes, isn't there something closer to the school? Maybe something with a view right into the girls' dorms.
Do you have any kind of cottage that backs up upon the group showers?
Yes, I have this telescope I need to set up.
I'm something of a junior astronomer.
Yes.
Yes.
Why is it pointed down? It seems like you would look up at the.
Oh,
Oh,
don't worry about it.
yeah. And instead, he'll be rooming with Giles. Oh, goody. And he is just like, well, that's going to be great.
I will say this actor's not great, but he does act as anyone would, finding out they're going to be rooming with Ralph Bates.
Yes, it is. It is. It requires no acting. Actually, this is everyone's reaction to. Oh boy.
Kind of, yeah. Okay.
Let's see if this actor was ever on Z Cars. 801 episodes, man. Odds are everybody was on there.
You have just mentioned that show.
Holy shit, he's in 2 episodes of Z Cars.
You have mentioned this show more than anyone has in the last 3 decades.
He did a 2-parter on Z Cars.
The creator of Z Cars has not talked about Z Cars as much as you have.
Z Cars, yes, I vaguely recall it.
That's the one with the cars in it. And the police with the cars.
So he's rooming with Giles, who is just poring over books about the Karnsteins.
The thing the writing of this is just awful. The writing of this movie is terrible. Tudor Gates, I'm looking at you, dead man, probably. But
let's confirm he's dead. Let me see. Yes.
Yeah, while you do that, but the writing of this is just. Let's say he's the history professor.
Oh,
for
yes,
this
he died in 2007.
I'm very sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Condolences to his family.
Yeah.
But the whole idea that he is their history teacher, but the only thing this entire semester, perhaps this entire year, is just about the history of the Karnsteins.
That's
all
it. He's talking about.
That's all he's talking about. That's all he's teaching them. He's teaching them the history and genealogy and the folklore. And I'm like, what? I could see covering it for a week because the castle's nearby. Jeez.
Yeah, this is dumb. And he's just obsessed with it. We'll find out why later. But yes, he's researching
Again, I fell asleep at a certain point.
He's researching the Karnsteins, and he's like, "Oh yes, it's all very fascinating. The castle's just up there." Meanwhile, Lestrange is like, I think he does tell Mircalla earlier to meet him later.
Yes,
and that's what he does here. And this is where he's just like, I love you with every fiber of my being. I'm passionately overcome by you. And she actually reacts pretty normally at first. She's like, oh, yeah, please don't. And he's like grabbing her arm, and she's like, well,
that's nice. Thank you. Very kind.
Yeah. And he's just like, I'm madly overcome by my love for you. I'm so passionately. And you're just like, fucking psycho, man. He's coming on way too strong.
The name of this movie was fucking Psycho Man.
Yeah, fucking Psycho Man, and that was the song then. Look out! Here comes the fucking Psycho Man. I'd watch that.
Or this, indeed.
So he confesses love, and she's like, "I have to go," but then she does do sort of a caress of her face. She's sending mixed signals, to be fair. He's coming in too strong, but I don't know what to make of her being like, but also I'll caress your face. Weird.
Don't tell me you love me because it confuses me. I may be a lesbian. I might not be. I'm not entirely sure.
So then we see Giles collecting Susan's dead body and dragging it into and down a well. And he's like, well, taken care of.
This... I mean, if nothing else, this does present us at last with some kind of plot where we're like, what was that about? So it's creating mystery.
Well, because we think, oh, Giles is a vampire familiar. Okay.
That is one of the possibilities.
That's not the case, though, once again, that would have been interesting, but no. But immediately everybody's like, hey, where's Susan? Nobody's seen her in like 3 days. Mircalla, you're her roommate, and she's like, I don't know anything about her.
I don't know.
They're like, maybe she ran off. And then I think it is Miss Fairplay who's like, maybe she was abducted. They're like, no, that's probably not the case. And Miss Fairplay says, shouldn't we call the police? And Miss Simpson's just like, no, that would be bad for the school. I'm sure she'll turn up any day now.
You know, at this point, Miss Simpson is very much like the mayor of Amity, New York, basically saying like, no, everything's totally cool.
Yeah.
Everything not Amity, New York, wherever that
Amity
is.
Island.
Amity Island, yeah.
Yeah.
They're basically going, no bad press.
You mean
Just cover it up.
the real villain of Jaws?
Yeah, the real villain of Jaws.
That guy's the worst.
Well, the Labor Day crowds are huge.
That's going to cost the town a lot of business if we close the beaches. Come on. And he never liked Chief Brody to begin with, let's be honest.
It's true. You can see it in his eyes.
Yeah, he's an outsider.
You feel it in his touch.
Yeah, he was an outsider. We knew that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he hated the water. Come on, how can you be here?
That is true. That's a hard way to sell that character. Really, he hates the water, and he's the mayor.
It's not like he'll ever overcome that by movie's end. Giles has taken the children now to look at Carmilla's grave, going, yes, this is Carmilla Karnstein's grave. You know, there's all kinds of weird myths about it and such.
All kinds of folklore and stories about the Karnsteins. Of course, they're all based on superstition.
And he says the interesting thing about the Karnsteins is that the daughter her name would always be an anagram of the mother's. And then he's like, Carmilla, wait a minute. Mircalla is an anagram of Carmilla.
All right.
Everyone point and laugh at her.
Oh my God. All right. So
yeah.
This is something
This is bad.
It's something that's from the novel, ish. It's not always an anagram, but not like because it has to be. She just chose to constantly have an anagram of her name.
Yeah.
But
I like this explanation here, trying to make sense of why this woman keeps making anagrams of her own name.
Yeah, that it's some sort of magical thing.
It's just how we do in the Karnsteins.
Jesus Christ. But and so they established it in the previous movie. But here they're making it like it's now obligatory, and also making it like, let's now deconstruct it here on screen for multiple characters to know this, and also just immediately point to, I mean, it would be like in our favorite Son of Dracula, them just saying, Alucard, isn't that Dracula backwards?
When they find Giles's notes and he's written out Carmilla, I thought
Giles's notes.
I could not think Alucard, because he does have Carmilla, Mircalla, and he's got some other things, and I'm like, oh my God, we're doing it again.
Each page of his notes should be its own t-shirt design, because I lost my shit with his notes that were bad deviant art, fan art of Yuta Stinsgard, and very kick-ass ninth grader vampire teeth with bloody fangs. Holy shit, it was so stupid. And it was so stupid. Then you see 18 pages of it and it's all the same shit.
Giles pulls Mircalla aside. He goes, I have something to show you.
Meet me and
we'll
talk.
This is 100% a setup for a sexual assault. Without you take the vampire stuff. I have something to show you. Meet me later alone, my student.
Yes.
This is the most concerning thing I've ever seen. Like,
again, I am confused because you seem to be mocking it.
No, come on, not this movie.
I found this to be a cautionary tale.
So yes,
watching the film, you should definitely not.
Yeah. And so then Lestrange is sitting in his home that he shares with Giles, and he goes, I noticed Susan wasn't in class today. And Giles is just like, she has a fever. She's ill. That's what it is. And then is the implication here that he's drugged Lestrange's drink?
Yeah.
Because Lestrange is like, because Giles goes, I'm going out for a walk. And Lestrange is like, I should join you, but I have to, and he just kind of passes out.
Sounds like a good idea, but yeah, he poured him a drink, and he's for some reason dosed him, I guess, in case he got too curious to go out and see what Giles is up to.
Yeah, so Giles meets Mircalla at Carmilla's grave, and he's like, I know you are Carmilla. I've seen the portrait.
When I pointed out the name thing,
I saw a portrait of you. It's definitely you. And then he pulls out a cross, and she's like, yeah. But then he turns it upside down. He goes, don't worry. I'm totally cool with all of this.
He goes, I have reversed the cross because I want to be your slave, and
He
I
specifically says, I want to be a
Take it.
servant of the devil.
He says it.
Yeah,
And you know-
we're talking a lot about the devil in this movie.
Yeah, we're getting to that point.
This is almost one of their devil movies.
Yeah, well, they're turning that way. The Dracula movies, within the next one, it all becomes about devil and the dark powers.
They get big into that because some of their devil movies are kind of fun.
But yeah, this is it is very over the top again, and Ralph Bates is hamming it up, and he does want to be her slave, be a slave of the Karnsteins, live forever, serve the devil. This all sounds totes cool.
Yeah. Then she bites his neck, and yeah, he just ruins his pants basically based on the performance I'm looking at from Ralph Bates. He's like, ah.
Oh, that's the stuff.
Yeah.
And
I swear this has never happened before. I usually last much longer.
It's pretty great, if only because she does just drain him.
Yeah.
It's not like, well, I'll turn you into someone that can help me.
But I also checked the time code here, and I'm like 45 minutes in, and the first build actor's dead.
Did we cut to Baron Karnstein again? I think we do, don't we?
I think we do in here. Yeah, I said I stopped writing it down because it's happening so much.
Great. Oh, that's good.
Yes, murder.
And then he goes, a heart attack.
Yeah. Oh my God. We'll get to that because I love it. Because yes, one of the girls is out walking in the field, and she just finds Ralph Bates' dead body.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, she screams.
I think will be the name of my first solo
Ralph
release.
Bates' dead body. What a specific reference. And so, luckily the Countess has arrived, and they say, oh my God, we found Mr. Giles dead. And the Countess says, well, luckily I have my private physician with me, so he can investigate. And then, yes, we meet, and this is my idea for the t-shirt. We meet how I refer to him here. I know he's Baron Karnstein, but as I call him for my rest of my notes, Vampire Doctor. And I want the shirt to be this guy, but he's wearing the headlight and the scrubs, and he's got the stethoscope around his neck, and it says Vampire Doctor in a creepy font, and a word bubble that says, it was a heart attack.
I do love it, because it is his catchphrase for the rest of the movie.
It is. And then I amused myself for the rest of the movie by imagining other Vampire Doctor scenarios. Yes, we found the problem. What is it, Doctor? You have too much blood.
I think the only problem is you're going to get some pushback from Scrubs fans who are going to bring
Dr.
up
Acula. You throw that period out there, you scrunch it all together. Dracula. Yeah, Scrubs, one of the greatest shows ever.
Agreed.
Yeah. So it was a heart attack. And here I thought, well, that's weird. When he says it the second time later, I'm like, what? How is this his thing? That's insane.
What I love
so
best
dumb.
What I love best about it is, yes, it's totally stupid, but the idea that he says just that. They don't give him anything else.
I know. He just walk in and go, hello, I'm Dr. Whatever, having examined the patient.
Yeah, and he doesn't
he just appears in the door.
He doesn't like say it any different the second time. The second time you think he might go, it's like, after examining it, I find it has been a coronary event. He says the exact same thing. It's like
it's almost like they just cut to the same footage.
It's like he just sort of leans in a doorway and just goes,
It was a heart attack. Yeah.
Fucking hilarious. And I love that that's not even that guy's
It's like
voice.
they pulled the string on him. That's all he's programmed to say.
Yes. He's a talky Tina doll that just goes, it's a heart attack.
And so now this is where Miss Fairplay goes to Lestrange and is like, look, Susan disappeared. Now Giles is dead. Something weird is going on here, right? Like, I got to go to the cops about this. I know Miss Simpson doesn't want me to, but, like, you're with me on this. And he goes, well, let me think it over. Give me 24 hours to decide if it's worth going to the cops. And she's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Let me think it over.
Yeah. And meanwhile, this is where Lestrange finds all of Giles's notes that we talked about with his drawings and him and his word puzzle figuring out Mircalla, Carmilla, Alucard, Dracula, you know.
I think that he, once he figured it out the first time, he doesn't need to fill other pages of his sketchbook with the same thing. Mm-hmm. And he has sketched her over and over again. Here's the thing that drove me crazy about this. Early on, someone says, I can't remember if it was Giles or the barkeep or whoever knows the legends, mm-hmm. but someone goes, they rise every 40 years, and they take new forms so no one can recognize them.
Right.
And yet,
everyone's recognizing Carmilla.
In both movies, Vampire Lovers and this one, there are portraits of Carmilla that look exactly like the actress who's playing. So you're like going, she didn't take a new form. She's clearly still Carmilla.
Right.
And I love the fact that Giles was patting himself hard on the back of like, I figured it out. You change the letters of your name and you look exactly like the portrait that's in the castle that's about 20
we
feet
see
away.
Lestrange flip through this book about the history of the Karnsteins, and he finds Carmilla's portrait.
Oh, you're right. Oh, it was one of those great things you see in movies, the convenient book drop to the exact page you need.
Yes, it is, yeah. And so I thought, okay, well, where's he going with this now? Because now he knows she's the vampire.
This thing. Well, the way I read it when he told Fairplay, it's like, give me 24 hours. It's literally him saying, I'm pretty sure that Carmilla's in on it, but give me 24 hours to see if she's going to get with me. If she turns me down, then I'm totally on board with calling the cops. But if she said, let's get busy, then I'm on the side.
Yeah, exactly. Because he sees Carmilla's portrait. Then he sneaks in to where they have Giles's body, and he finds the vampire bite marks.
Yep.
And then it's Castle Karnstein where he's asked Carmilla to meet him. And
he knows there's a vampire about by this point because he's seen 2 victims of the vampire bite.
Yes.
So, because he saw the innocent, waitress or whatever.
And so he has Carmilla meet him at the castle, and he's basically just like, I think you might be a vampire. And she's like, are you sure? He goes, well, prove you're not, which I don't know how you prove you're not a vampire.
Yeah. He said, well, they do continue. He goes, prove you're not. And then she says, so if I make out with you and don't bite you, that'll be proof. And he's like, yeah. It's just so lame.
And she does say, she says, all right, I am a Karnstein. I am descended from that, but I am not a vampire. I am not Carmilla. I just look like her because she's my ancestor.
That's a pretty good dodge.
I think that's a fine dodge.
It's a fine dodge. And yet, it's still just, we're about to get into the worst thing that happens in this movie.
Because, they start making out, and this is where we get, and you read it, but you got to sell how it's strange love.
I can't give that to you. What I can give to you is, if you are really curious, listeners, and you, John, there's the version in the movie, which is that drifty.
Yeah. It's very like eerie creepiness.
A single release of the same song, the 45 one you can find on YouTube. It was released with a beat.
Oh,
like a faster version that's not as eerie and drifty. So there are 2 versions by Tracy of her landmark hit Strange Love out there for you to enjoy. But yes, okay, so this is a sex scene, and it is as far as Hammer has gone so far in 1971.
Brendan, we be fucking in this movie.
Well, with no actual movement of hips, but by
1971 Hammer standards, we be fucking.
Yeah, we be fucking, because she's topless and he's kissing those boobs.
Oh, I could have done without the amount of nipple kissing in this movie. God, that was uncomfortable to watch.
She, again, lovely actress, but she's not doing a good job of selling.
That is the worst orgasm I've seen in a movie, I think.
She goes cross-eyed. Yeah. That is the way she goes orgasm face. Is just,
I mean, that's almost like a Mel Brooks joke, like of a fake movie orgasm, the cross-eyed thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a strong recommend.
Yes,
anyway,
the strongest recommends. So Lestrange comes home, and Janet, Miss Fairplay, is there, and she's like, "What the fuck, man? You said you were gonna tell me today if you wanted to go to the cops."
Again, dead on, John. When you embody these actors, it's
fuck, man.
If I look away from the Zoom, it's like who started the movie?
What the fuck?
Because I'm hearing those actors' voices.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And he
man?
goes, "Oh, actually, yes, I'm glad you're here because now that I've thought about it, we shouldn't go to the cops. No, it's just a bad idea."
Yeah,
and she's like,
he got convinced by the sweet vampire loving to not.
and she's
go
like, "What?" And she even says, "I thought so much better of you. Like I thought you came here and you were honest and noble and a good person, and now
She actually says,
yeah,
she shames him. It's pretty awesome. She goes, just because you got some, and now you're like, vampires are okay, no big deal, no big whoop.
mm-hmm. And so then she storms out of there, and then he's like, "Well, time to go to bed." And then we get, because it wouldn't be a Karnstein movie without a trippy dream sequence.
Oh God, there's some
Strange love, and it comes back.
there's some interesting camera tricks here. Some
psychedelic colors.
Yeah, there's like it'll go to
I didn't want strange love. I wanted one pill makes you smaller.
Yes, we did need some Jefferson.
I want White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane here.
It makes you bigger, and another pill makes you not as big.
Yeah,
but
go ask Alice. Well, she's 10 feet tall. Yeah. Now we got to pay for that song on here, but and we're already paying for that Strange Love rendition I was doing. So
I am actually, as we speak, writing a check to Tracy.
Yeah.
Care of
Tracy, no last name.
I know the last.
You know Tracy?
She's from Webley. That I did find out.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, they'll do like a monochromatic thing where it's one of the vampire victims, but everything's green except for the bite marks and the blood is bright like neon red.
Yes.
I mean, it's trippy, but it also goes on too long, and all it is greatest hits from the movie we've just been watching.
Yeah, I know. It's just they can't resist, man. They cannot resist just going over and over the same shit.
Well, that's also, free footage because they've already shot it.
And we got to pad this thing out, man. We just got to pad it out. Strange love. So yes, they do this, and then it's the next morning, and we cut to Miss Fairplay has called the police because enter the inspector.
And we've seen this guy before.
Definitely. Oh, definitely. I know this guy. The second he came. Inspector Heinrich is his name. Harvey Hall is the actor. And he was the angry butler in Vampire Lovers.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Renton, who's like, nothing's going on around here without my knowledge. I'm Renton the butler.
He started out as being like for half a second vampire hunter hero, but gets seduced almost instantly by Carmilla.
Yeah, we have no vampire hunter in this movie, really, which is a shame.
We got a priest at the very end who knows what to do.
Too late on that.
No one listens to him.
I do. Please, no! I'm telling you, what you're doing will do nothing. And they're like, "Shut up, you old priest."
They're like, "We saw there's going to be a third one."
Yeah. So we'll just stop them temporarily before the next movie.
Again, this one, just like the other one, each one of the Hammer, well, even Dracula films, they keep changing the rules of vampirism.
Mm-hmm.
But this is true to the book. In Carmilla, but also in Dracula, they can walk around in daylight. Carmilla is out there in the sun having a fine old time.
Shimmering with glitter. No, I'm sorry, that's Twilight.
She is sparkly.
We don't have to cover those when we get to modern day, do we?
Sparkly as fuck. God, I can't imagine I would agree to it. I can't imagine. I mean, those are important. I mean,
it seems like we should, but I can't sit through those.
I can't.
I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I watched the first 15 minutes of the first movie and turned it off.
Yeah.
That's as far as I was able to get.
And I like Pattinson a lot. But that's not in that.
I'm a huge Taylor. What's his name?
You know what I love about that is time is told on who had the acting chops in that movie, hasn't it? Because Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson, still very much doing things. What's Lautner up to? I don't know.
Didn't he get that one Jason Bourne knockoff movie?
But that was during the Twilight, where they tried to make him an action star, and it was like, nope.
Yeah, well,
we actually are looking at doing one of his movies on the action shelf. because he did
he direct to DVD route?
He
now?
did one. Yeah, he did one of them at least. Yeah, where he's some kind of parkour guy.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. He has absolutely no charisma.
No, nothing at all. None.
He is a stick of wood.
A complete plank.
Sorry, everybody, if you're a huge Tyler Lautner fan. I can't even remember his name.
Taylor Lautner is his name.
Taylor Lautner. There we go.
So yes. Let's see where we're. Oh yes, the inspector's here, and he's like, "I'm sorry, a girl's been missing for 4 days, and you're just now letting us know. Plus, one of your teachers just up and died. This is suspicious as shit."
He's absolutely right. But here's the thing I like about his performance in this. Just like he was the strictest of butlers, he is a fucking asshole cop.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right. But it's like they're all trying to charm him, and he's like going, fuck that. Yeah. I'm getting to the bottom of this now.
Well, to be fair, though, I kind of get his stance of just like, I'm sorry, people are dead.
Yeah, he's like, I'm sorry, this woman's been missing for 4 days. You haven't even reported it. She has a family.
Yeah.
You guys are assholes.
I was into this character, and unfortunately it doesn't last long because I wanted to see Law & Order 1830, Dun, 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 dun.
Chong chong.
Yeah. I want like Law & Order Salem, Massachusetts. Like, that's my dream, is that kind of. Yeah. They did do the Ben Stiller show sketch where they were cops.
I'm the same thing. Yeah, the Salem witch.
They did the
cops.
Salem, and they also did the medieval England cops as well. Man, you gotta put the broom down. Come on. No, don't cast a spell. They're still like modern day Chicago cops. Whoa. All right, everybody calm down. All right. Love that sketch.
What's your name? Goody. Okay, Goody.
Right. Jenny Garofalo's. Yes. Yeah. And I saw her walk with the devil. All right, hey, whoa, break it up, you two. The inspector's doing that, and Miss Simpson's going like, "Well, I don't know why would we be concerned?"
She's pretty pathetic.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Lestrange goes to Mircalla again. He goes, "I desperately need to know, do you love me? Love me? Do you love me?" And I'm just like, this is the worst main character we've ever had in something.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the fact that the whole idea is that, I mean, they're always indicating that this could be his actual feelings, but it's also possible that Mircalla Carmilla makes people just fall instantly hardcore in love with her. That she has some sort of mystical allure. But yeah, it's so over the top here that all you can do is laugh. And the guy's playing it like, I can't sleep, I can't eat, all I do is think of you, I think of you, I love you.
I can't sleep, yeah. I can't sleep at night. He does that.
There you go.
I was trying to come up with what was the song I was thinking of in my head, and that was it. So yeah,
song that we owe money for. Thank you, John.
Yeah. So they kiss. She doesn't really answer. She just kisses him, and he's like, "I guess you do love me."
You know what? This is working out just fine.
Meanwhile, the inspector starts poking around the grounds of the school, looking around, going, there must be something. He's like, this well would be a perfect place to hide a body.
Yeah.
And he starts climbing down the well that we saw.
As you do.
Giles throw Susan's body down. So he starts poking around down there, and of course he finds the body at the bottom of the well.
Yep. Which I gotta say, she's looking pretty good for someone that's been down there for days.
And she looks just fine. Meanwhile, the Countess has arrived, and they're like, "Oh no, the police are here!" And the Countess is like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of the policeman." And then, as the inspector is climbing back up the rope, is this vampire doctor? Who is this who cuts the rope? You can't see his face.
Is it
Vampire Coachman?
I think it's Vampire Coachman,
who is the best character in this movie. Yes, he cuts the rope and he dies. He falls to his death.
And this is yet another. I mean, we get Whipped horses. Again, check that off on your whiteboard. Hammer has these tropes. We get a lot of coaches. We get whipped horses in this one, and this is another one where we have someone trying to climb a rope, and the rope gets.
We just saw it last week in Scars of Dracula.
We literally did.
Yeah. So he's dead. The inspector's dead, but they had already sent a letter to Susan's father telling, because they didn't inform the father that she's missing. And the Countess says, is it too late to get it back? And Miss Simpson goes, well, yeah, it's already on its way. And she goes, okay, here's what we do. We send another letter, this time saying we found her and she's dead. That will take care of it. What? That's, oh boy. Because they're like, oh, he definitely won't come and check things out if she's just dead. Brilliant work, everybody. So yes, meanwhile, let's see.
Meanwhile, sorry, I thought it was Ted Knight doing narration for Super Friends.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
and they're like, oh, this is where they say, well, what are we supposed to say? How she died? And this is where Vampire Doctor appears. A heart attack.
Literally just pops back in and says the same goddamn thing.
Do you do anything else? No.
Have you ever actually diagnosed anything other than nope, it's always a heart attack?
And then he just slowly, awkwardly backs out of the room. They watch him go.
Well, they just reverse the film because it's just the same clip over and over and over again.
My note just says Vampire Doctor is back with heart attack.
Dr. Acula.
Vampire Doctor. Blah. I got my medical license from Transylvania. So then once again, Fairplay is back talking to Lestrange, and he goes, I really think Miss Simpson and the Countess are covering shit up. Like, this really seems like they're trying to bury this stuff under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, and the thing I've noticed is everybody who seems to be into Mircalla, they seem to be the ones who get it. Like, Susan liked her, and then she's dead. And then Giles was fascinated by her, and she's dead. And now you can't stop talking about Lestrange. I think you might be in danger.
Yeah, she's figured everything out here. And she's telling him, like, you got to look out for yourself because you're probably next,
and
Mr.
This is a hand wave of it's all fine. I don't need to worry about any of this. And then this is where she just goes,
oh, she's a vampire. He knows.
Yeah. And then this is where Miss Fairplay she's just like, well, I suppose this won't change anything, but you should know I'm in love with you.
God.
And I was like, what?
She's
in love with him?
I feel bad for this actress, Susanna Lee, because there is no way to play that.
No.
There is no way to make that work. I think she's
fairly good, actually. Like, she has a pretty good presence.
Yeah, she's the one that comes off okay.
Star of the Deadly Bees.
Yes, I know. She does a good job with what she's given, and she does come across as not only just, they're all about being hot, but she comes across as being intelligent and all. So, not a great character, but she does what she can with it.
She's the only one who's making any sense in this movie. The only one with any kind of logic. You're like, well, wait a minute. 2 and 2 are 4, my friend.
Yeah. And very soon, I don't know if it's immediately now, you'd have to tell me, but I hate movies where we're in the third act and they suddenly introduce important characters. I mean, the inspector guy, the cop, was pretty late, but he got wrapped up pretty quick. But now when we get
2 scenes and then he's dead, yeah.
But when we get introduced to Susan's father, and he's suddenly an important character in this, and starts driving the story.
We'll get to it. There's one scene because Miss Fairplay goes back to school, and Mircalla seduces her, hypnotizes her.
Oh yeah.
But she's wearing a cross, and so she's like, ah, and then just walks out of the room.
Yeah,
and then it sort of leaves Miss Fairplay to be like, well, that was weird.
Yeah, Miss Fairplay snaps out of it, and she's still holding the cross, and she's like, "Oh, are we not going to kiss now? Where did you?"
Okay.
Dodge that bullet.
Yeah, weird.
Oh my God, that song didn't start up.
Strange love. I'm so glad I'm getting to practice my falsetto on this,
Can I just say, and in all honesty, beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Beautiful voice.
Thank you. The voice of an angel, I've been told by countless people.
We need to do a full-on musical episode to let the people really hear what we can do.
I honestly, we've come close a couple times. There's a couple episodes where we've done a lot of singing.
True. Yeah. And we keep getting requests to stop. And you know what? We ain't gonna.
We won't. Because I think both you and I, it takes but the smallest of nudge for a song.
Yep. I'm always
I'm always right about to sing. So,
have to do Jesus Christ Superstar from the beginning to the end.
Jesus Christ Superstar.
You started to believe the things they say of you. I'll stop.
Now we owe Andrew Lloyd Webber money. Come on.
He needs it. Poor bastard.
I have heard he's fallen on hard times. No.
I wish that Starlight Express had done better.
I'm very curious about his new rendition of Cinderella that he's prepping right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
The man is 95 years old. He can only be doing the best work of his career right now.
Oh. Yeah, now my cat's trying to make a cameo appearance. Get out of here. Get out of here.
It's adorable.
He's the best, but just stay right there. All right. So now the father comes in, and he demands answers. Because fair enough, he goes, I'm sorry, I receive a letter saying she's missing, only to then immediately receive another letter that's saying she's dead.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I'm sorry, she's a young girl. How did she fucking have a heart attack? I don't buy it.
It was a... Get out of here!
I can confirm it was a... I said go!
He starts leaning into the scene.
They do say, it's like, who said this? And they go, Dr. whatever. I don't know what fake name they give him. And he goes, I've never heard of him.
I've never heard of that guy. Well, he mainly practices in Vienna. And then he actually... I mean, there is no plot to this movie. So they even spend time in this movie where we see the father again later saying, well, I've had them look, and there's no doctor by that name practicing in Vienna. And they're like, well, he moves around a lot.
Yeah. Oh, did we say Dr. Alucard? No. But no, he has Susan dug up.
Backwards, it's Dracula. Dracula.
So they have Susan dug up by the town's doctor, this old guy. And they dig her up, and he's like, oh, my precious dear. And, of course, he turns away distraught. And the doctor's like, bite marks. But Susan's father doesn't see the bite marks. Just the doctor does. And he's like, yips, vampires.
Yep. The doctor knows. And
so finally, now he goes, well, we dug her up. The doctor says it probably wasn't a heart attack. He's now confronting the Countess going, this is all bullshit. We checked on the doctor. He's fake. I don't buy this death certificate. And the Countess says, all right, here's the real deal. Well, because they said they found what did they find? Like ligature or they found marks that looks like trauma to her body, which wouldn't make sense if it was a heart attack. Yeah. And then the
Countess, again, she's
always thinking.
She's always thinking. She covers well, but I'm just saying that, again, this character showed up at the very beginning, had nothing to do.
And now is running the show.
And starts running the show. And she goes, well, I hated to say this, but she had a heart attack, but it was in the course of committing suicide. She jumped off the roof. Yeah. So that's why her body was all banged up. This is all very clever. I'm like, that's...
And he goes, suicide? And she's like, have you had marital troubles? He's like, well, yes. And they go, yeah, that's what she said. Tough home life.
Tough home life. Yeah. And there's also the implication of, there were things that for her would have tarnished her name. She's basically saying she was a lesbian. Yeah. And that...
that's right. Full-blown lesbo.
You get it, right? I mean, that you're going to jump off a roof is what's going to happen. And the heart attack while you're jumping off a roof. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the local doctor does say, well, yes, that could happen. He says, but, also, if you're jumping off the roof, probably not going to be missing blood.
Yeah, she was drained of blood. And this is where they're in the pub now, and he's talking to the doctors going like, yeah, she was missing blood. None of this adds up. And then basically the other townsfolk are like, hey, are you all talking about vampires?
Yeah. Say now. And this is where we get, suddenly, they're all riled up.
Yeah, and they're like, man, but if only we knew what to do. Cue a priest walking in.
It's unbelievable. He literally walks through the door when they're like going, but what could we possibly do? Again, these people have dealt with this for several generations, every 4 years, and only now are they like, you know what? I'm done with it.
And thank God this priest is here to show us the way. He'll know what to do.
And he goes, boy, am I tired. We've traveled for a long time. They're like, no time to sit down now. We're going to go to the castle and kill some vampires. He goes, well, it is my job to exorcise evil, so I guess I'll go.
And so then Lestrange charges into the school, and he's pounding on Mirkalla's door, going, I know you're in there with someone! You're two-timing me!
Yeah,
and she's just drinking the blood of some random student in there.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, guys, we know we had to tone down the lesbianism, but here's one more, okay? So it's Mirkalla drinking the blood of a topless girl who's really digging.
Because we need a little bit more boobs.
Yeah, she's like going,
going like, don't stop.
Yeah, it's supposed to be crazy sexy, but Mirkalla again looks not like I love ladies. She looks like she's going, man, I was hungry.
At least she's drinking from the neck this time. If we recall in Vampire Lovers, that she was drinking blood from the boob.
She was biting the boob.
Yeah, boob bites.
Hashtag boob bites.
Yeah. Get your boob bites here. Get your boob bites.
You want boob bites? You want boob bites? Free boob bites. Could you pass those down? Pass them down.
Boob bites. Boob bites. Boob bites.
Orange whip. Orange whip.
Orange whip.
Orange whip.
3 orange whips.
The fact that we get these references without any need of that's scary. But that is one of the best John Candy performances in a film.
I love it so much, man. I want to get an Orange Whip shirt. They're out there. I've seen them. It's just a picture of John Candy. It says Orange Whip. I want it. I love specific references to classic movies. Because you could get a "We're on a mission from God," but come on, Orange Whip is better.
That's too easy.
Yeah. So the town folks are grabbing their torches, which Hammers resisted the angry mob, but this is 2 in a row now for them.
2 angry mobs in a row. They have gone to the Universal Well, and this mob is angry.
And Lestrange, meanwhile, is just freaking out, and he's run out into the woods because he's going to end up meeting with this angry mob. Yep. And I love the angry mob is charging with their torches, and the priest is just riding in a carriage like, yes, onward, gentlemen.
Indeed.
So they're heading to the castle, and Lestrange meets up with the mob, and he's like, what are you all doing? They're like, we're going to burn the Karnstein castle and stake all their vampires. Maybe even cut off some heads. He's like, oh, don't do that. No.
One of them's really hot and has had sex with me.
My favorite, though, is when we cut to the Karnstein castle. We have Vampire Doctor, Countess, and they've packed up a carriage because they're like, oh no, the heat is on. Time to get out of town.
Which, have they never done this in their centuries of rising every 40 years?
Pack up your belongings. We're getting out of here.
Here's something we neglected to mention. I need to mention because of something that's about to happen in this upcoming scene. When Susan gets dumped down the well by Giles a million years ago in this movie.
Yeah.
They do a combo of the actress falling in a black void, so it's actually her, and she's going, and they also do a terrible looking dummy that they spend way too much time showing.
Yeah. We'll get another dummy later that's pretty bad too.
We're not done yet. When the rope is cut for the detective, he falls, and we get a shot of the actor going, I'm falling in a black void. That's okay. But we also get terrible dummy number 2.
Also, when he lands on the ground like bounces like he's landed on something soft.
Yeah, like he's landed on a what do you call them? Crash cushion.
Crash pad, yeah.
Crash pad. And we're about to get the worst dummy in Hammer history.
Yes, we are. Because, yes, they're getting ready to leave, but the mob has already arrived at the gates. So they're like, too late! Back into the castle! And don't worry, hey, my favorite scene in the movie with my favorite character. Go get him, vampire coachman!
This is what's so weird.
This guy hisses and reveals his fangs and then charges at the angry mob.
The Karnsteins have just stood around grinning at Carmilla's antics or made up excuses, like the Countess does. But they have not been actively evil vampire people. They've just, I don't know how they're feeding, but regardless.
I don't know what their deal is. I know nothing about these people. It makes no sense.
Carmilla has fed a few times, and it's all very languid and sexy feeding.
Are we to assume that it was Carmilla who drank the barmaid, or was that maybe one of these other people?
No, it was the Countess. The Countess gets the lady at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, Columbo is definitely getting active.
Yeah, I know. He's already batted around my notes, and now he's screwing around with some other stuff. And
so in other words, the vampire coachman is the most active, evil, scary vampire in this whole movie so far.
Yes, he really is. Because the reason I love Vampire Coachman is because he's like, I'm gonna kill these people. Like,
yeah. we
basically get it's go time.
Carmilla has only bared her fangs to sexily drink blood. This guy is like hissing and whipping his coach, and he's running.
He's attacking people with that riding crop and smacking guys in the mob.
Like he's driving a car into a crowd. So he runs the coach into the crowd, hissing, and he jumps on people. Then they all gang up on him. So it's a bunch of people pinning down a vampire guy.
And my favorite part of this is it's the bar owner from the beginning of the movie goes, I'll stake him. Like, out of the way, gentlemen. I've got this. And then drives a big old stake through his heart.
Priest knows what you have to do for a vampire. Seemingly, so do the people.
Or decapitation. That's what he says.
Yes.
Those are going to be your best.
Seemingly, the people of the town do too, because Bar Guy does stake this dude.
Stakes him good.
But the rest of the crowd, they're like, yeah, you got him, because we do see the vampire coachman turn into dust. Then they just decide to burn the castle.
Oh, eventually somebody just yells, burn down the castle!
Yeah, and then you have the priest, who's an old man. He's like going, no, wait.
It's like, that won't do anything.
That won't do jack. Fire won't
and
take
they're like,
care.
Whatever.
They are like, whatever. And it's similar to last week's movie, where they're like, this'll do it. Meanwhile, you had poor Patrick Troughton going, the fire will never reach him.
Poor Patrick. There's an even better fire will never reach them here, and it's my favorite delivery from Vampire Doctor, actually, beyond Heart Attack. He's standing there as the flames are building up inside the castle, and he goes, there is no death for us in fire. And it's not just the line delivery. He then folds his arms like,
Yeah.
He folds his arms like, let's watch him try. This'll be good.
And then, as he says, there's no death for us in fire, they suddenly cut to another pop song by the Weird World of Arthur Brown, where he goes, fire, ba-bum-bum, I send you to burn, ba-bum-bum, fire. Sorry, the two voices were very similar.
I thought you were going to Jimi Hendrix and let me stand next to your fire.
That would be good too. But the great thing about that particular song, if you've ever heard it, it is from the 60s and the psychedelic period. The beginning of it sounds like Mel Brooks. And when I was a kid, I honestly thought it was Mel Brooks, because it starts with, I am the god of hellfire, and I give you, and then it goes, fire.
I did this little thing for a band back in the 60s. I just recorded the beginnings.
I am the god of hellfire, and I give you... Anyway.
I give you Spaceballs.
I give you Spaceballs.
I give you the pop song.
So this is them burning down the castle, and they all think no big whoop, and Carmilla's in there with them.
Yeah, she's suddenly there. And then Lestrange makes his way through the crowd and just bursts into this castle. And Carmilla's like, ooh, no, you should get out of here.
He's like, no, I want me some more of that Carmilla sweet action.
And then she kind of gets a look from Baron Karnstein, and then she's like, all right, I'm going to fucking bite this guy now.
Well, the thing is that she's torn. Mm-hmm. They do this thing of like, she's like happy to see him, and if only we could be together. But then Baron Karnstein, Dr. Acula, vampire doctor, does like the hypno hand.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you have to be ruthless vampire chick. And she goes,
you're a bad guy.
Yeah, so she pops the fangs and she comes at Lestrange, and she's gonna take care of business. But then what happens?
Well, he pushes her off when she does that. Lestrange says, he's like, what? Why are you doing this? And then, just perfect incident here. A sharp piece of wood
on fire.
Bum, bum, falls from the ceiling and just perfectly impales her heart.
Yes, she is prone on the ground because he pushes her back. Because vampires are prone to, if you push them, they'll fall down.
If you
as
push
we saw
them,
with Dracula,
they will fall. Yeah.
So she falls, and then yes, as you say, a perfectly stake-shaped piece of wood on fire falls from the ceiling and pins her. And this is where we get the worst dummy.
And they linger on it.
History.
They linger on it like nobody's business.
I don't know why they linger. I'm not sure if it's a dummy. It actually looks more like a wax figure.
It is, because it catches fire then, and it's supposed to be
and it also
Carmilla burning.
Obviously, it has no joints to it, so like as the fire is burning it, it's causing the thing to move a little bit, like but it's totally static. Like her arm.
I laughed so hard at how bad this was,
and laughed.
Yeah.
So anyway, this kind of breaks the spell for Lestrange, who's like, fuck. And then the father of Susan runs in and goes, Lestrange, you idiot, get out of here. And saves him.
Pulls him out, and Janet is, Miss Fairplay is thrilled to see him. And they embrace, and I'm like, I'm sorry, are they together now? I don't know.
Lestrange doesn't deserve her.
Yeah, no.
She said, I'm in love with you. And he's like, yeah, that's nice, but I'm getting it from the vampire chick. He has done nothing to deserve her now.
Well, she just got staked with a burning thing, so I guess we're together then.
It is exactly that. Like, he was liking her all kinds until Carmilla showed up, and then he couldn't care less about her. And then she's dead, and now he's like, well, here's my backup. So she's the backup.
So now the castle is burning down.
Yep.
And the priest who was like, no, you idiots, don't burn it down, is now just giving a long speech about how evil is gone. I'm like, oh, so I guess now he just assumes they are gone for some reason.
I hate this movie.
And then, the last shot is Lestrange and Miss Fairplay walking off together arm in arm, and that's the end of the movie.
I hate it so much.
And presumably the other Karnsteins then are just okay, and they're standing there in that burning castle, and they're all right.
John, this is a vampire movie. I should love it.
Yeah.
It's a vampire movie.
I generally like vampire movies, yeah.
It's a vampire movie with beautiful women in it.
I'm a fan of those, too.
I hate to sound like a cis white male guy. I don't know why I had to throw white in there, but I am. Sorry, I'm a Caucasian. Heterosexual. Yeah. And this is a movie with vampires, beautiful women, beautiful naked women in it, lesbian vampires. I hated this movie. This movie should have been ticking boxes left and right.
Yeah.
And other than the fact that I was actually getting deja vu from when I saw it as a kid, other than the fact that I never actually saw the boobs because it was on TV, and I'm just going, oh, God, I watched anything with a vampire when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because this was not worth my time. This was not worth...
No.
I'm saying, listeners, don't watch it. Don't watch it.
No.
Unless you're doing what we're doing and being a Hammer completist, and we're not even being Hammer.
I cannot recommend not watching this movie enough.
I know.
It is horrible. I truly hate this movie. This is in the running for the worst one we've done. And I mean that for Universal or Hammer. This really is
Mummy's Hand.
Terrible movie. Just a
Mummy's
terrible
Hand,
film.
Mummy's Tomb, this one.
Oh boy. This is really bad.
There's at some point there must come a reckoning, John. At some point we do need to look back over what we've done so far and start really kind of summing up.
Yeah, I have thought about that, of actually putting a ranking to these.
As we have finished Universal and are getting close to finishing Hammer.
Yeah, we might do a rankings bonus episode where we rank these, because at a certain point, in both though, I know what the top is and I know what the bottom is. Everything else is competing for middle.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about these movies. Well, we managed to not talk about this for 3 hours. We only did 2 hours on this one, so.
Yep.
So that's good. Unfortunately, next week on the show, we don't have another lesbian vampire movie to watch.
Nope.
But we do have our final mummy film from Hammer.
The one that I remember from when I was a kid.
Blood from the Mummy's Tomb is next week on the show.
I don't think it's very good.
Oh, why would it be? None of the Mummy movies have been good.
But Valerie Leon, I looked her up. She's the one that I have had a crush on since I was like 8.
She's a very striking looking woman. There's no question about that. And there are some very, very saucy promotional photos for this movie.
But she is not our titular mummy.
No.
Well, actually, I think it's a similar thing where there's like a reincarnated princess, so she might actually.
Well, there's always a reincarnated princess in the Mummy movies. It feels
there
like
is. There always is.
It feels like
there?
that. Yeah.
But yeah, that's our next one, the last of the Hammer mummies.
Finally, Jesus. We have a tough row to hoe here. Because we have that, and then we have Twins of Evil after it. But then I think we're gonna swing back around to get into some fun territory with Dracula AD 1972, Satanic Rites of Dracula, we have Captain Kronos, Legend of Seven Gold Vampires. Unfortunately, we do have Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell.
Mr. Cushing's last go as the Doctor. So there is stuff to look forward to, but it is kind of wide open. Other than the Draculas, which I remember very well, and other than Captain Kronos, which I do remember very well, and Seven Golden Vampires I remember well.
I love Seven Golden Vampires. I don't care.
There's still wild cards, and we'll see if any.
And my absolute beloved Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter, which is, in my memory, is my favorite of any Hammer movie. So.
Stop! Everyone knows. Everyone's been to your Facebook page and seen your cosplay, your Captain Kronos.
I would love to do a Captain Kronos cosplay.
I know
that would be awesome. But that's gonna wrap up this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meets the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
Strange love. Da, 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 strange love.